On. Hey guys, hey. Sorry we are a little late, and but we have a lot to talk about. Some good questions, comments, and responses from different things. We're very excited about what is coming. You are going to be, I guarantee you're going to be mind blown at things that are coming out January 6th, 2026, and we just can get through this year. But in the meantime, we have a lot to talk about today here on the call-in show. And by the way, just to let you know, the call-in show is going to shift next year, and it's going to be held on Sunday nights. So we hope that you'll be free to call in and talk at that time, as well as some other changes which we'll make known to you. Hold on one second. I have to take some medicine. Yes. I am swallowing. We have Delaney getting things ready, and she's behind the 8 ball, so I've just kind of been left with talking with you. So we're going to start up Heart of the Matter weekly next year. We're going to start up weekly, almost topical teachings now, since we've arrived at where we stand on things, and right. So we hope you'll join us. Delaney has joined us. Hello, my everyone. Daughter.
Hi. If you're new, we do this call-in hour. You can submit questions in the YouTube chat, or you can call, sorry, I'm out of breath, pregnant, 220-222-4686. You can also text that number. All right. We have a backlog of so many questions from last week.
We got to get to the one about
calls last week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot in the Yeshuans forum.
Oh.
If you aren't a part of it, we have an app called Yeshuans. If you go to yeshuans.faith, YESHUANS.faith, you can sign up. So I'm going to pull up the forum here. There's a bunch, and I'm going to go in chronological order because some people have been waiting for a long time. We'll start with William's question, understanding sin.
Oh, that's the one.
Yes. Okay.
I hope William's listening.
Me too. Okay, if sin has already been fully paid for, what's the point of urging people to live better, more upright lives? Take someone addicted to porn or drugs. If those things make them happy, why should they quit? If everything is paid in full and there are no spiritual consequences, then why not just eat, drink, and be merry? Who cares? Some will say there are temporal consequences, not just spiritual ones. Drug use, for example, can shorten someone's life. But if they're guaranteed heaven anyway, what does a shorter life matter? We're even seeing societies move in this direction. In places like Canada, the government is now telling people who no longer want to live that it's acceptable to choose assisted suicide, and doctors will help them do it. Is this wrong? Why? And I'm just going to do the whole thing. If a woman wants an abortion, ending the life of her baby, why not? If the price of sin is already paid and no eternal consequences remain, the baby is going to heaven, so who cares? I know this is dark, but this is real life things people are facing. Thank you.
It's great. It's great. So I'm going to launch off onto that for a second, and then Delaney will come back and we'll discuss. But when we talk about sin being fully paid, that is a biblical fact. So we can cross that off the list. It has been paid for if you trust the apostolic record writings. He paid for the sins of the world. He's the Savior of the world, especially of those who believe. So if that's the case, why strive to live better lives, live upright lives? Why quit anything that is deleterious to your existence? Well, one, we want to be fruitful. And in order to be fruitful, and that is to love as Christ wants us to love, we don't want to muck our lives up with a bunch of non-loving behaviors. So it's kind of contradictory to say, I've been saved from all my sin, therefore I'm going to continue to harm people, because his commandment is to love as he loved, which is selfless, sacrificial, and insufferable. So while the sin of adultery has been paid for, a man who believes in Christ isn't going to say, well, I'm just going to go commit adultery because I've been forgiven. No, that person would say, I'm so grateful my sin was paid for, I won't go commit adultery as a means to honor. The other thing to bring forward is we talk about it makes us happy. But the problem with sin is that it can, in this world, lead us to a disposition of unbelief. And the Greeks talked about a katabasis, spiral downward. You start off with a little lie. You then it's funny, you watch these crime shows and somebody, begins with stealing money from their employer. Then they're sleeping with their neighbor and then they commit murder. It's like this downward spiral. And those things can lend to an unbelieving heart. You can become so hardened by the effects of unloving behaviors. So we trust when God says to love, and we trust the definition of that love as being effective and being his will on earth. And all the humanist ideas that come along with liberalism and assisted suicide and abortion. Listen, if someone wants to choose to do those things, I do not believe personally that the Christian church should be involved in stopping it. I think that governments and laws can, but in terms of Christ, often people who are doing things like that come to Christ because it ruins them so badly. So I think to govern sin as believers is a mistake, and it always has been a mistake of the church. Delaney, thoughts on that? Because we've kind of talked about it.
Well, I'm wondering, there is some idea of, sin is off the table in terms of eternal perspective, but there's an idea of right and wrong kind of.
Sure.
Still.
Yeah.
I think that maybe is the conflation that is the problem. Doing something quote unquote wrong on this earth, it doesn't matter because you won't face it in the next life. You'll face it in this life, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I do wonder if you will face it in the next life still. It's not that sin isn't covered in the next life. There is this idea, though, of being able to choose darkness away from God.
Absolutely.
And I feel like you're probably more inclined to choose that darkness the more steeped in wrong you
I would
are.
agree.
And I think that's kind of a normal Christian argument against sin anyway. Steve's calling.
All right, let's take it.
Hello, Mr. Utley.
Heyo.
You hearing us?
How's it going?
Good.
How you doing, Stephen?
Good. I was listening to your response actually to the question, and I thought I would just break it up and just really screw up your monologue.
Oh, good.
And screw up your thoughts. But no, I am calling with a very specific question, but I did want to respond actually to that thing really super quick. If the question is why don't we just eat, drink, and be merry, that is selfish.
Yeah.
By definition. So if we're called to love and we worship God in spirit and in truth, for one, we learn the truth through his words and what he did, but the spirit is love. It's self-sacrificial love. It's by definition sacrificing what you want to do, your selfishness, to eat, drink, and be merry for something better. So I don't know. That's my point of view on that. It's just it's selfish when you do that.
I love it.
So yeah. But then my actual question that I thought of, it's been 2 weeks. I've been burning with questions for these 2 weeks, but the main one is the apocryphal books of the Bible. I was going crazy with this for 2 weeks now. I've been thinking about it, and what the heck do we do with the book of Tobit? The book of freaking Tobit. I've not heard of this book.
Oh.
This is apparently in the Catholic Bibles, and there's books that are included. The book of Esther, for example. So, all my point, I'm just wondering what you think of the apocryphal books, and it kind of brought me to another question about Revelation itself, which when you were going through the book of Revelation during your Sunday teachings, before you started it, you mentioned you might not even need to be in the Bible, and that stuck with me because I assumed it should be, but I have been kind of hard on that book ever since you started even going through it. And I'm sure you learned a lot when you did. So what is your opinion on why it should be in the Bible? And then what's your opinion on these books that are excluded? Do they need to be excluded? Is there anything we can gain from reading them? That sort of thing. So that's kind of my general question is, what about Tobit?
It's a good one. Tobit and Judith and Maccabees and all of them. Well, I think maybe see the books of the Bible kind of like we do anyway. Some people say, what's your favorite book of the Bible? Oh, I love Romans. I love Hebrews. So I think that all of us kind of have a list of books that are really meaningful to us. And I think you can take the books of the Bible from the ones that have been accepted by the Protestants, and then you can filter down in the ones that have been accepted by the Catholics, and you can just kind of put them in an order of information that's really, really valuable. When you get to those books that you were mentioning, Steve, their content does not necessarily bring a ton of value to the reader. It brings some, and so there's nothing wrong with reading them, but I'm not sure it brings enough for them to be canonized. That's what I would respond. But consider them. The other thing is there are pseudepigraphal books that were counterfeits written all over the place back in the day when they were compiling the apostolic record. And there's people who still try to read those and think they have value. And then finally, in terms of Revelation, I today cannot overemphasize the value of Revelation in the scripture, only because it does fulfill everything that was in the Old Testament in its prophecies. It explains it through Hebrew eyes. And if you can understand it through a Hebrew lens, you can see the fulfillment of all things in and through that strange revelation John was given. But you're right. When I started, I said, I don't even think it should be in the Bible, because I was echoing Martin Luther. And but yeah, I've changed on it. It's not easy. And so I can't disagree. It has caused so much division and craziness. But then again, I guess the Bible itself has too.
Yeah, that's true. And look, I go back and forth with Revelation all the time because of the dating, and I looked into that too when I was looking at all these apocryphal books and whatever. And it's crazy too that the dating is such an important piece to it, but also there's little to no evidence either way. Either way, there's little to no evidence. So if you take the words of the book to mean what they say they mean, it makes more sense for it to be dated earlier. But on the other hand, to me, if it is dated later, if somehow there was archaeological evidence that somehow put it later than 70 AD, then to me, it would have to be a counterfeit. It would have to be somebody that was passing their words off as if it was John's words, but it was just describing what already happened. So
I've never thought of it.
In that case,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've never thought of it that way. I think that's excellent, because what most people say is if it's dated post 70 AD or 90, whatever, 70 AD, if it's post that, then we are still waiting for the events to happen. But you're saying that if it was dated later, then it's a counterfeit. And I kind of enjoy that perspective. I've never thought of it.
Yeah, because I mean, it describes the events of what happened to the Jews at the time so well that, to me, that those are kind of the only two options. I think saying that it applies to us today or way later or some future event is way more far-fetched than the two options that I see, which either it was true and talked about what was to come very shortly, or it was talking about what already did happen shortly, but it was sort of a counterfeit in describing those things. But even if it is a counterfeit and describing what happened, it still describes what happened in sort of that way. So
Yeah.
I think we can still gain knowledge from it.
Huh.
So
I love that
that's how
view,
I
to
see
tell
it.
you the truth. Have you looked at the internal evidence for the support of early dating of Revelation?
The internal evidence, like with what's actually written in
In
the book,
Revelation. In Revelation,
or-
yeah. The internal evidence supports a earlier dating far more than the scant later dating.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do. And I didn't really know that I agreed until I really looked into it. I was actually yelling at ChatGPT about this, and that's what usually happens. If I talk to ChatGPT about biblical things, I start yelling. But like, so you're saying that there's only one single guy that is telling me that Revelation could be dated later? I don't know. So. Yeah, it's very scant evidence for a later date. So well, I don't know. That's it, I guess.
It's awesome, brother. Love your thoughts. Keep them coming.
All right, will do.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love ya.
Talk to you.
Bye, Steve. Okay. Our friend Sarah says she is, for weeks now, has been commenting in the live chat and nothing, her comments aren't showing. I don't know what that's about. She's in the live chat right now.
Shut your mouth. I think it has to do with some people who are
Yeah.
attacking you.
I do too. Something's up.
It's not on our end, Sarah. We don't edit
Yeah.
anything.
I'm looking. I mean, we have like, the only people we have blocked are from the past. The past moderators have blocked them, but I'm not seeing your name on a blocked list. So, but maybe it's our chat. If you're trying to chat in the YouTube live, then we might not be seeing it. There's no comments right now, and that's kind of unusual. So,
Maybe we got some kind of glitch.
yeah, something might be wrong. We'll see. Okay. Should we move on to? Oh, and I wanted. Well, do you have anything else to say about understanding sin to William?
Yeah. I think that to start off and believe that sin was paid for and God has been reconciled to the world and there is no more separation from humanity and him, that is simply his perspective. And so we don't become bogged down with our sin. We repent of it, so to speak, quickly. We turn from it quickly because, like Steve said, that's the selfless thing to do. But the reason I focus on it being over is because people always are trying to right themselves before God by being sinless. And that's an impossibility. Mm-hmm. It's just impossible because we are sinful creatures. If it's not with our actions, it's with our minds, our hearts. So trust that it was paid for. That's why I emphasize so much on that.
I'm wondering, because Claire responded in this forum that I believe we're still under the law of love.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like another, like maybe there is still sin. It's just non-love. But it's not that it's not covered. I think the problem is it's like the semantic of calling it sin means you're kept from God and
right.
that it's not covered. Like we need different language for it because there still is a law.
Yeah.
And there still is a not being with God.
Yeah.
but it's by choice and stuff now. So
I think, Claire, and you bring up a good point. The commandments are faith and love.
we have commandments.
We have those two commandments
Can
as
they
believers.
keep you from God?
Yeah. If you don't have faith, you don't enter. But what the love, the command, the law to love,
Yeah.
it amounts to less fruit, which means less reward, but
Yeah.
not the punishment for failing to love. It's a less of a reward. Does that make sense?
Yes. The entering part
Is
is
faith.
is like feels like sin still.
Yeah, well, that's why Jesus said the sin of the Holy Ghost
Unbelief.
is unbelief, and
Yeah.
it won't be forgiven here or in the world to come. So you're right. That does. And if someone said, is there such a thing as sin today? Absolutely. The sin of unbelief.
Okay. That answers it then.
Yeah.
There is sin.
Yeah. But
There
it's
is
not
sin.
sexual,
Yeah. It's
fleshly.
so far from what we know.
Yeah.
And the only sin is unbelief. It's not non-love.
That's right.
So non-love, like love is the way, we're under the commandment of love, but that's not a sin.
Right.
To not love.
Right. Because you're not punished for non-love, you're just not rewarded.
Yes. Okay. And non-love, I feel like there's an effect of love on this earth too.
Oh, yeah.
That is, it's not just an afterlife thing, non-love and rewards and stuff.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's something about what you like, it's like the idea of living by the kingdom or whatever in this life, like starting the afterlife here.
Yeah.
You get those rewards
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But it's not earthly. I don't know.
It's not earthly, but it is spiritual.
You get the spiritual
Yeah.
rewards
Yes.
with love on this earth.
and you
Yeah.
know them, and that is kind of like maybe the way the rewards will be given there.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
that's goes to show the people that don't want it
Yeah.
don't want it.
Right.
Like they
don't care.
so
Good stuff.
that also plays into American Brunette Doll says test. So we are getting chat comments. Sarah, I think this is a check my church channel problem, which kind of scares me even more. I think she might be getting attacked.
Never know,
straight
man.
up.
She's under the gun for some stuff. Not stuff she's
Prayers
done.
for Sarah. Yeah, no, not stuff she's done. So Claire's
Not sins she's committed.
Claire's response though, she goes on, we're still under the law of love. If we allow the Spirit of God who lives in us to work in us by his power, we can be transformed. We're trying to look at the things through the lens of love. She goes on, but then she says, have you seen Shawn's teachings on the tree of knowledge of good and evil, spirit of man versus spirit of God? I also highly recommend his verse by verse in Romans, which brings up I can't pull it up, but someone in YouTube asked like how much we can indulge the spirit of man. So I feel like it's the same kind of question. Like he said something to the effect of, he, as a Christian, he doesn't even want to indulge in like ambition or anything. He just doesn't want to live by this world at all. But then you're left. So I feel like you have a lot of thoughts about that.
Yeah, I do. I would say because in Christ there is liberty, that however God has made you, you should live that to the fullest. So if you have been gifted with a beautiful singing voice or carpentry skills or business acumen, you should, you have the option to do as much of that as you want. The only qualifier is Spirit of Christ is preeminent, primary, and you have no other gods. If you can do that, you're able in this life to do anything. And when I say this, it sounds really liberal, but you can own a bar, you can own a gambling casino, because you are living in the freedom that God has given you. Now, I'm not promoting that, but I'm saying that's how much liberty I think should exist with Christians. Yeah.
And Christians think there's the mistake that having the Spirit of Christ reigning
Yeah.
leads to not being able to even touch any of this stuff.
Right.
So it's that the Spirit of Christ is a heart condition.
Right.
And all this other stuff is a earthly condition.
Right.
And
Mind, will,
both
emotion, body.
Like those things, if they're your heart.
Yeah.
And that's what's really hard, is running a bar and not letting it take your heart over. It's really hard to do
Very
something
hard.
with your whole life and also not let it consume your heart.
Very hard.
Like
that, but I use extremes to show how far it could go, but I don't mean them literally. The fact of the matter is, though, if you go to the other extreme, if someone says, I'm a Christian and I don't live by the spirit of man, well, then that means you don't eat.
Yeah.
It means you don't drink water, nothing. You don't pay your bills, you don't make money, and that is not what it's about.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go through, God, there's a lot of questions.
Oh, good.
We'll hit them by person. How about that? So
All right.
Hayden has a couple questions. One's on the Trinity, one's on Protestant or independent. Actually, the Trinity, I think we addressed in the previous, right? Yeah, we did.
Either that or I don't get the Bible.
We did address it. But Protestant or independent forum question. Most Christian groups today sit somewhere under the big Protestant umbrella. Where do Yeshuans actually fit in that picture? Do we connect to the Protestant Reformation stream? Or is this movement something completely separate from Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant traditions? Here's the deeper question I'm curious about. Would the Yeshuan movement even exist without the Protestant Reformation? Or has it existed all along, running alongside organized religion the whole time through true believers? Personally, I feel like the Yeshuan teaching stands in its own lane, but I'd love to hear how others see it. Keen to hear your thoughts.
Well, from my perspective, I think we stand on the shoulders of everybody who's come before us. If it wasn't for the Protestant Reformation, then we might not have the perspectives that we have. If it wasn't for Catholicism, if it wasn't for Jesus,
But also if it wasn't for certain philosophers
True.
or certain artists.
Everything.
I think the mistake is that it only comes from the line of Christianity.
No, right. We stand on the shoulders of everybody who's contributed to the development of humanity and our ability to think and reason and sort through stuff. So, but that said, Yeshuans, I believe, is kind of similar to the Anabaptist line rather than the Protestant, because the Protestants were killing the Anabaptists. The Catholics were killing the Anabaptists. There's a book called Trail of Blood that talks about a direct line that bypassed Catholicism and the Protestant Reformation through these Hutterites and these religious folks that just said, we are going to follow Christ. That's it. And they put them to death.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So if I was going to say we were in the line of anything, it would be similar to that. And maybe in philosophy, not doctrine, but philosophy, the Quakers. Philosophy.
The Quakers.
Yeah, I really think that's
when did they come around? Sorry.
They came around whenever the guys started wearing the hat and they made oats.
They're not the same Quaker.
They are.
No.
Yeah,
No, I've heard.
The guy with the hat is the same Quaker as Quaker Oats. Bottom line, the Quakers came around the same time as like 1700s. Who was it? Fox who started them. But I don't necessarily agree with their theology at all. But I love the way they practice the faith.
Oh, I didn't realize they were called the Religious Society of Friends.
Yeah, there's one
The
right up the
Quakers.
street.
That's cool.
And you go into a room and you just sit there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do kind of like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think I've seen certain things where it's coming back. Certain people are. No, Quaker Oats Company is not related to the Quakers.
Then why do they have a Quaker guy on the front?
I think they might use that image, but they're not. It's not from.
Oh no, I don't think it's a Quaker community making the oats.
No. Okay. Maybe it's the same image. Yeah, the guy is a Quaker, probably. Yeah. Okay. Wow, I wonder how the Quakers actually feel about the oats. Okay.
Probably really ticked about
I
it.
know.
They're conscientious objectors. they have a lot of rigid stances. I think they're super liberal too.
The Quakers are?
Yeah, I think.
I feel like, yeah, Yeshuans is, well, to say it's built off of the shoulders of anyone that's come before us is to say that it only like can exist now, to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it wasn't the right time before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder about that though, because I do think there's people who have known this truth
Sure.
all this time, and
Yeah.
it's individuals. Like the question, it's like the random people, just as we argue today, it's still the case. Random people in any religious circumstance
Yeah.
who have this truth.
Yeah, it's like Grady used to say back in the day, if there was a woman who came to understand fulfillment and it was the 1500s, what's she going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just going to
Yes.
believe it and live by it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but I do think that there now is a time in history when it will be accepted better.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that's different about it.
right.
It's not that the teaching is new. It's new, obviously, but that Jesus didn't do this work 2,000 years ago.
Right. All done. And like you're mentioning you're mentioning directly, God works within the spirit of the age of man. And so he's going to bring forth stuff that man are ready, like you said, to handle and embrace. And I think that the Yeshuan perspective is primed for this day and age.
Yeah. It's like how Jesus was the Jews were primed for Jesus.
That's
to come.
right.
I feel like it's the same. It's not that the truth that Jesus brought didn't exist before him.
Right. Because it was all in the Old Testament, prophesied.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Good stuff.
okay. Todd, years ago during a Q&A, after an excellent verse-by-verse teaching you gave on Revelations 2, 8 through 11, part 1, at the 58-50-minute mark.
Todd, you are a great detective.
It's good. It's good. People can refer back. It's funny, though, to read. A guy named Nathan asked this question: what is your opinion on what happens to the non-believers that died in modern times? Your answer at the time: my opinion from my understanding of Scripture is they will immediately be resurrected to a resurrection of damnation, whatever that means. They will go to the lake of fire, where they will, in the presence of Christ and his angels, be purged of all the backpack that's on their camel's back. Every knee will bow, every tongue will confess, and they will crawl through into the kingdom as what? I don't know. They will not be sons and daughters. They won't be saved from second death. I do believe they will be reconciled to God. Nathan, what do you define the second death as? You say the lake of fire, a trip to the lake of fire, which no one wants. That's how I would see it. So Todd's asking, is that still your opinion? B, have you developed any changes to that understanding?
Yeah.
Have you developed any new insights regarding the lake of fire? Also being redundant, taking part in the lake of fire is for all unbelievers, not only the unrepentant Jews of that age, right? Those are his questions.
Okay, so taking part in the lake of fire was only to Jews in that age, in my opinion now.
Okay.
Yeah. The second death was overcome because the last enemy is death, is what Paul says. So if there is still a second death, the last enemy hasn't been vanquished. So therefore, the second death still remains in activity.
Okay.
And the second death is when someone makes a trip to the lake of fire.
Okay.
So it was all for them then, basically, is what I believe.
Okay.
Okay. However, I do think that the lake of fire is actually what is the internal innards of the New Jerusalem is. I think that is a lake of fire because God is a consuming fire and he lives in that place. He is the son of it. He's the light of it. And so that is the lake of fire. When I believe today that when believers die, they get a body fitted to abide in that lake of fire. forever. There's no burning for them because the dross has been taken away by Christ, that who they believed on.
Okay.
But I do believe that the body that is a body of damnation is given to unbelievers. And the only way perhaps for them to rid themselves of that body is for it to be purged from them. And that would be by them trying to enter into the kingdom. They say they have faith, their knee bows, and they go through the suffering, spiritual suffering, it's not physical, that we went through as believers to get ourselves ready to enter the kingdom when we die. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is it too much?
I think I don't have my head around this stuff enough to be able to
it's a lot.
ask back for Todd.
Okay.
But mainly because I feel like you could go through and explain the whole chronology of the afterlife and how it changes, because it like what it was for before. But
it would be really helpful to have that discussion because that lays out how it's changed. So I do believe there was a lake of fire that was in the presence of the Lord and his angels, that was punitive, that was made for Satan and his angels, and that's their permanent abode. But the unbelievers of that day took only their part in it, because that's what Revelation says, meaning they would come out. And that's akin to the Catholic version of purgatory. But, I also believe, just to throw this out there, the possibility of reincarnation for people who will never believe. And God says, fine, you're just going to go back as an animal now. You're a lower life form because you but you continue to exist. And so, but that is a far-fetched, unbiblical idea. But I think it's possible.
It led me to think while you were talking too that there's what is written and then there's all the possibilities outside of what's written. That's something that I feel like most Christians or most theologies don't acknowledge, is that there are possibilities beyond just what's written. Yeah. Which is what's scary.
Yeah.
And
that's why you don't trust me, because I'm an imaginative soul. And when I make conjectures on what is possible outside of the written text, it's all just me putting things together that I think make sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that I wanted to ask how you got to, because that was at the early Revelation teaching. So what brought you to when did you get to all this, what you just
when
said?
I finished Revelation and I saw the description of what would be later.
Wow.
Then I said, oh, okay. And that's when I changed.
Okay. That's really interesting. Okay. Real quick in the chat, what was the first fee churches Joe Smith built when he started it all? How long did it take to build the style of church we see around in different neighborhoods? They all look the same.
Oh, man. The Mormon church has gone through a really interesting process. They started off...
What was the first few churches he built when he started it all? I see. Thank you, Grillmaster.
He built communities in places like Kirkland, Ohio, and Nauvoo, Illinois. And he would build these places and build temples, and then they'd get destroyed. And because they were persecuted. But, bottom line, the Mormon church, in a 30-second summary, started off with a shamanistic approach, meaning Smith was like this clairvoyant who was speaking to God and coming up with stuff. Their architecture was very reminiscent of this open, weird kind of mystical thing. And then that shamanistic period lasted until the prophet David O. McKay, who was alive when I was a kid. He wore all white, all the time, all white.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah.
He had white blooming hair, and he was like a shaman. And it was still in the age when Mormons just were really trippy. Then they entered the clerical phase, and that's when they did cookie cutter architecture, and that clerical phase has continued on today.
Like standardization. So
standardization of manuals, standardization of buildings. You can see the model that they went through.
Yeah. And I don't remember.
Yeah. And their temples were all closed off at one time, no windows. And then if you look at like the DC temple, they have windows. So the San Diego temple, where the people inside can look out. So that was showing we're more open now. Their architecture actually reflects their growth and change.
Yeah, for real. And like their alignment with like trying to look less like freaky and be more like American.
Yeah.
Because that was a big thing, was becoming more American, right?
Yeah.
Like
that, and then assimilating into
capitalistic.
other countries. I've heard that there's a cross on
Or
their
worldwide,
temple in
yeah.
Rome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I've heard that. I don't know if that's true now, but
There's crosses on churches,
No.
aren't there? Really?
inside on the
There's a
walls, yeah.
couple.
No, never. Never in the Mormon church. Always a steeple to show we believe in progression.
Interesting. Are Mormon families expected to have at least 3 children? They all seem to have at least 3. That's a
No,
good
there's no
question.
expectation, but there is a kind of a culture.
Pressure.
There's a pressure.
And it's not articulated as much now probably, but before it was like that's your job, is to multiply and like to
Oh, it was so gnarly.
create more Mormons,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah. I mean, they went so far as to say that sex was to have children.
Yeah.
That's all sex was for. Like they had prophets who said it's not for enjoyment.
That's weird because I see.
We had a
That's why
bishop
they
tell
had
us
so
that you
many
should have
wives.
sex with your garments on.
Oh my gosh. Where did that come from? That's like
Men?
what's that type of Jew? Ashkenazi?
Oh,
Wait,
there's Ashkenazi, yeah. You're
don't
talking
they
about like
use a
Orthodox.
sheet?
Oh,
Do they have
yeah.
to put a sheet between themselves?
Yeah.
When Jesus walked the earth, he didn't build physical churches. Why don't the Mormons understand this?
They are a materialist institution.
Why don't the Christians understand that?
Yeah.
That's my question.
That's my question too.
Kate. So and then we have a handful of questions from Claire.
Oh.
You can keep asking questions in the chat. We'll get to them. I'm going back to the Yeshuans forum. Claire, here's a few. She put several. Have no other gods before me. Why would God have this as a commandment if there are no other gods? In the summary of everything video, Shawn says there are no other gods, but there are a few examples of other gods in the Bible, Satan being the most well known. He is described as the god of this world. Also, 2 Kings 3, the Moabite king Mesha sacrificed his son to Chemosh, the Moabite god. Text says that because this sacrifice, Chemosh defeated the Israelites. Heiser talks about the council of gods and that the Israelites believed in many gods. My understanding of the commandment to have no other gods is not to worship other gods, not that other gods don't exist. Monarchic monotheism.
Ooh.
Yeshua told us not to worship him, but only the Father, demonstrating that he was subordinate to his Father. What do you think? Probably too complicated a question for Thursday call-in, but no.
Not at all. Monarchic monarchism, you're right. But when I said that there are no other gods, that's because God says, I know of none. What he's talking about is gods who created heaven and earth. That's how he's distinguished in the Old Testament. The Jews will constantly say he's the God creator of heaven and earth. The other gods were beings that were created. He's the guy who creates. He's God with the capital G, if we're going to use that title. And the other ones are lowercase g's. So I don't mean to say there are no gods. Paul says there's gods many, right?
Wow, I thought that meant like we make gods, like idols. There are actual like gods.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The Baal and Mephistopheles, and like she mentioned Satan and all these. They were gods. Yeah, and
Wow.
the Egyptians had gods. That's who they called upon to do their miracles to oppose Moses, and they did them.
Wow, that is something I don't think Christians understand.
Oh.
Is they think that's not God. There's one God. I think that's what she's pointing out. There's a Christian emphasis that there's one God.
Yeah.
That's not true. There's one creator.
There's one God omnipotent, God almighty, and none are above him or equal to him. But there are other gods.
Todd is here. God revealed that he is species unique.
Ooh, I like that.
In what way? What do you know?
I don't know where Todd derives that phrase, but I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'm sure
tell
it's
us
derived from scripture somewhere.
I.e., unique attributes like omnipresence, omnipotence. And Danny Animated says, oof. So tell us what that means, Danny Animated. I'm curious what verse, or well, I guess those verses that's like summarizes the verses he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Species unique.
Creator of all, uncreated.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
what he's talking
No beginning,
about.
no end.
Species unique.
Yeah.
Okay. So these other gods, are they specifically articulated as created, or is it just assumed that they're created?
It's assumed
Okay.
by guys like Heiser and stuff, and the Bible. But if he is uncreated and there's none other that are uncreated, and he's the creator of all things, the logic is he created beings that fell, turned dark. Or then there's the argument of, did he create gods that are evil? And that's a whole other subject.
That is
all I know
crazy.
is whatever they are, they orbit in a realm of dark, and they
all of
scare
them,
me.
Every single one. Are there any light gods?
I don't know. That
Little gods? Light gods?
No idea.
Huh. Okay. Next one. The fall. In the day you eat of this fruit, you surely will die. Shawn's stance is that God is referring to spiritual death. We've talked about this a lot lately. It obviously wasn't physical death because they lived long lives. However, God still appeared face to face with Adam and Eve that same day and continued to appear to them and their children years later, even in their faith, or in their fallen sinful state. They were not cut off from God's presence. They still talked and communicated with him, and he still appeared to them. What do you mean by spiritual death?
They could not come to him freely. They were kicked out of the presence of God. So man could not come to him and say, God, and God shows up. God would show up and do his thing. But man was separated. In order to get to God, man had to go through all his rules, animals, ablutions, this, high priest, holy of holies. And so man did not have the direct access. God always has had access. I used to teach differently on that, and I was wrong. Yeah. I used to say God could not stand and couldn't, but actually it was Grady who taught me otherwise, and I believe that now. But Christ came and he tore that veil down that separated the high priest from and so now we have direct access to God like they did in the Garden of Eden. Everybody.
That was immediately. God still appeared face to face. Okay. They didn't have direct access to him.
Right.
That's what you're saying. Questions. Have you seen the interview with Bo Euler recanting his experience as a bishop? He explained a heartbreaking story of child exploitation situation as more focused on their legal protection.
I have not seen it, but it does not surprise me. Institutions will always defend themselves before victims. Always.
Todd Heiser expanded on this topic at length quite reasonably. I got to read it. We keep coming around to this.
Todd's he's a good resource for Heiser.
Yeah. Daniel, read the Septuagint, read in all caps, the Septuagint version of the fall of Adam. It's a completely different story that explains the fall better than the mass text.
Yeah.
Grillmaster, thoughts on Neanderthal, cavemen? Did they have the spirit of man? And then quickly jump to, well, do you have comments on read the Septuagint version?
I think it's a good version. It's what Christ cited. It's what Paul typically cites. So I think it's better than the Masoretic text, Hebrew Bible. Absolutely.
Okay. Girl Master, let me skip your question really fast because Danny Animated is just got here. He's new. What are you, Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox?
We are neither, none, any, and we are all.
Oh, man.
To us, Danny, who just arrived, we do not believe doctrine should divide. We believe that doctrine is subjectively understood and interpreted by each person depending on their maturity, their understanding, the spirit, and that when we divide with other people over doctrines, even disputable doctrines, that is going contrary to what Christ established, which is unity and love in faith. Mm-hmm. Faith in what? You decide. That's not my decision. It's up to you.
And on that note, individuals are responsible to figure out what they believe.
Oh, yeah.
So you've done a lot of that yourself, taught controversial things about theology and doctrine, and then also submit that you can believe what you want to.
And I could be wrong and they could be right, but I'm just not going to, I'm going to teach what I believe, but we're going to love everybody, Catholics, Protestants, Orthodoxy.
So your oof comment.
Oof.
So is there this is always the question, is there an objective truth in regard to the doctrine of, say, justification by faith alone?
God has the objective truth on all of that. We agree with the Bible that says it's by faith. And so we stand with the Protestants on that. But we also see other reasons to love because it's also a command. And there's a bunch of other nuanced ideas. But if you say, I don't think I have to believe anything and God will take me into his kingdom, then I say, fine, that's your decision.
Objective truth does exist.
Only in God's hands.
Yeah, we have a hard time accessing it. No, yeah. I'm reiterating that the position here is that not that it doesn't exist, but that individuals see through glass darkly won't ever be able to grasp it to the point where they can say they know over another person.
Right.
It's kind of simple.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
Back to Girl Master. Thoughts on Neanderthal and caveman. Do they have spirit of man?
Total don't know.
The noise they make.
I don't even know where they come in the historical through line of things. I don't know if they were pre-Adamic, post-Adamic, if they lived with the Adamics. I do not know. I can only make a guess, and that guess would probably be wrong.
Okay. Okay, a few more from Claire. Bible study. If you were to start a Bible study with people who have never heard fulfillment, where and how would you start?
Wow. Well, you have to first ask, in my opinion, are they trained in other eschatologies? Because if they are, then you have a wide road ahead of you. If they're not, I would just read the Bible, beginning in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, and go on through it, and just highlight the passages that teach fulfillment, and then see if they could ever see it another way, and they can't.
I agree. Also, fulfillment, I'm finding that, at least personally, fulfillment is best started by like talking about how Christ had the victory.
Oh, okay.
Like Christ, like he did what he said he was going to do, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like he, like the strange way that we relate to sin and it not being covered, and we have to believe but you don't have to believe, like all these contradicting things. Like he just did all of it. The Bible was a thing in history. I don't know. That's
another approach, what Delaney's bringing up for Claire, and that is to ask questions, a Socratic dialogue.
Yeah, true.
It's really a good way. Like, well, when did Jesus pay for sin?
Yeah.
Did he pay for everyone's sin? Did he pay for your sin? And just start working through and then catch them on their illogical ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good approach to Bible study. Probably.
Questions?
Yeah, like questions with people, especially if you have really fleshed out perspective, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, new Mormon prophet Oaks is now pushing for members to grow larger families. Church needs more missionaries and tithing to keep the church financially sound.
They're so freaking sick.
Crazy.
I cannot stand them. That freaking sick human being. When they just lowered the girls' missionary age to 18, that is a direct. What they did was they made a physical a dating service. They brought the girls down to the same age as the boys, and now it is a let's fall in love on our mission and let's go home, get married, and have kids.
Wow.
They are so manipulative. I hate them.
Totally.
Oaks, I'm talking about.
Oh, a lot of Danny's in here. Danny Animated and Danny Larson are two different people. Yes, Danny Larson is around. He has a channel talking to Mormons. He's great. Watch his stuff. Danny Animated, welcome. We're happy to take more questions because usually it's kind of jarring to hear what we're talking about if you've never heard it for the first time.
Yeah.
Our phone's up. Yes, they're up. Oh my gosh.
But
They're
Delaney's
up and
phone
I'm
has
not
been on
answering
silent.
it. You guys. Oh, it's a call-in show. Holy mother. We're taking this call. I have a feeling it's our friend William. Is this William?
Talk with Shawn. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
What's up, William?
All good. What's up, Shawn? How you doing, man?
Hey, good. You?
I'm doing great. I have a question for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
So one of the things I love is my family's from Europe, and I love going over to Europe. I love walking through the old cathedrals. I love going to St. Peter's. I love going to Ireland and England, and just there's a historic, magical feeling when you walk into an ancient church, and that church is a direct product of a worldview. And my question for you is, do you think Christians will ever build something like that again? Because to build something like that is kind of, you do need to have control over what people believe to some extent. So there's uniformity in values in the culture, and they produce something beautiful. So what's your thoughts on stuff like that? And yeah, that's it.
It's a great question. And it's a good one, too, because we got an architect here who can throw what she thinks in. I'll just speak about it from the material perspective. And they are beautiful. You know, St. Andrews is Scotland, I think. Is that right? And New York City, even St. Patty's, beautiful structures. And there is a spirit, but I believe it's the spirit of man that invokes us to look upward, you know, bring our eyes up to the heavens and think of God. But the only people who are going to ever erect more buildings like that are going to be those who put the burden for money on their members. And therefore, those edifices are going to be built with blood money, in my opinion, and I hate it. So I hope they don't. Delaney?
Yeah, I hear that.
I missed the part of the question about how that relates to controlling what people believe.
Well,
got to be unified.
I mean, for example, let's just do the LDS Church. You need people to buy into the tithing system to pay for the temples and things like that, right? So, in one sense, you kind of do need a little bit of a manipulative system, which I'm against and you're against. But I'm in a sense mourning that, because I walk around and, you know, I'll walk around Ireland when I go there, and there's so many just beautiful structures there. Yeah. And I'm like, are we ever going to produce something like that again? Because for me, a lot of our culture is so ugly. You know, just the buildings that we produce are boxy, and there's no imagination, and there's no real beauty. I want to get back to beauty.
Yeah, it's funny because in architecture school, the chapel assignments were always the best because it's like the most open, like artistic, like there's no like needs. You just, there's like no specifications or regulations. It's like you just get to do whatever you want and appeal to beauty. And most of the best chapels are designed not by believers. They're just, you know, architects that build really beautiful spaces. So like, to me, that reinforces that like beauty is a thing of this world. Unfortunately, it's like not tied to God, but it's like the most used aesthetics in general, like, you know, feelings. Aesthetics are feelings basically, like, and feelings used to associate something with being good or bad and then attributing that to God. So it's really, I feel like buildings are the most obvious first line of like offense for a church to like assert that control, like you're saying. So,
William, I have a question.
I see how. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to ask you. Tell me, do you discern a different? And this is where I would say I do. Between walking into just the most exquisite man-made structure in Europe and then going out into nature and at the most exquisite scene that God has made. Is there a difference?
Heck yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there absolutely is.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's two sides of my personality that I can't really make sense of, because you know what? I feel just as close to God, even more close to God when I'm on a hike or something like that. Yeah. And I'm you know, on the beach or something, you know. That's the direct interface of God. And so, yeah, I would almost say I would be cool with no building and just, hey, if I'm doing Bible reading, just be out on a mountain or something like that.
Yeah.
I know, but there are like libraries that I literally feel God in. And
I'm sure.
Todd says, why do we have to assume God doesn't have a role in the spirit of man's creativity?
I think he does.
I feel like it's the same with you with like music, where like, you know, he is in the art. He can be an individual's art, but it's the wielding of these things toward the control of thought, like you articulated, that seems to be the problem.
Yeah,
maybe.
I agree.
Yeah, good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Hey, we really quick before I go, and I sent you a poem, and I just want to read it because it's about the subjective nature. It's a quick little Zen poem, but I think it encapsulates our walk with God so perfectly. Can I read it? Do you mind if I read it really quick?
Oh, no, not at all.
And so it has to deal with seeing a mountain from different perspectives. So ready? And the Zen poem goes like this. It reads a little awkwardly, but once you get behind it, you can understand what it means. Seeing it horizontally, it is a hill. Seeing it diagonally, it is a peak. Seeing it from a distance and from different angles, the same mountain looks different, but I cannot see the mountain because I'm standing on it. And like for me, it's almost like theology. Like we can get cross-sectional views of God depending on where we're standing in life. Even we see God differently, we see our faith differently. But ultimately, the purpose of our theology is to bring us to the top of the mountain, to maybe not even see the mountain, to experience the mountain, to walk with the mountain, to live on the mountain. And so, anyway, I just wanted to share that.
I love it. And this is where I believe that the Spirit of Christ can take things like Zen Buddhism and bring enlightenment to Christians in ways that we haven't learned from. Doesn't take away from Christ, but that's a beautiful example.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, appreciate what you're doing. And,
thanks, William.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
Thanks so much. Later. Bye-bye. Thank you. Can't believe I missed those calls. I feel like such a dunce. We do have a text question. Why do Mormons... Oh, well, you asked it. Guy, I really failed y'all today.
Oh, no, you didn't. But Todd's right. I do think that when Christ, the Spirit of Christ, is in a Christian or in a person who is filled with that Spirit, that influences the whole spirit of man realm for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. We're over time, but Danny Animated, you're saying that every view has an abstract view of the same God, but some views are diametrically opposed, mutually exclusive. Yeah, that I'm happy he's here because he's articulating the like outsider's opinion.
Yeah, Delaney
We don't
talks.
get
She
it too
thinks
often.
on these lines. What do you think about
Oh, no, I just think that I had to work through that a lot. And I think the Yeshuan perspective is that that's okay. Like, two views being diametrically opposed about God doesn't define God. Like, because I think of God one way and you think of him as the opposite isn't going to define him. And the point that we're trying to make is that God is only understood from between an individual and him. And so the diametric opposition actually shouldn't even be a factor because we shouldn't even really know about the other person's views. Like, it's between an individual. So all the work we're doing is trying to break down this stuff that's built up to make us think about another person as like an enemy.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. And those diametrically opposed ideas, I am so wild. I think they can both be true in the perspective of who God is.
Yes,
but we don't know that.
Because it's abstracted. The exact word, the abstraction means you reduce it. It's like it's a portion of the view. Like all of these views of God, even the view of God being evil, like plays into the giant picture that we'll never be able to fully understand.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And that's why Shestov wrote that book, Athens and Jerusalem, because it was the Athens perspective that the Christian church embraced that started to say, no, this is truth. This must be, they cannot be opposition to it. We know.
Yeah.
Versus God to a Jerusalem believer was like, we don't know. You're anything. You're everything. Come, all nations to us. Let's. Yeah.
The position of humility of not knowing, it really is
so important.
Basis. He says, what's a Yeshuan?
It is a person who walks by faith in God and love, agape love for God and man. We aren't defined by our doctrine. We're not defined by practices. We aren't defined by control, by any kind of mandate. We are defined by having one arche, who we call Yeshua, who is called Jesus, and we follow him and him in spirit and truth alone. It's individual, it's subjective, and the call
on this earth. It's subjective.
It's subjective.
It's not that he's subjective.
No.
He's objective.
Thank you for that clarification.
I just for like someone new, I think that's important. He says, I understand your perspective. I think that's actually nice to hear because usually people are dumbfounded by this.
These guys named Dan are smart.
Dannies
are smart people.
Thanks for asking the questions. We appreciate them. Okay. That was good. There's a lot of questions in the forum.
Thanks, you guys.
Go to yeshuans.faith if you want to learn more.
Download the app.
We have an app. And
tune in to Sunday teachings. We're doing the summary of everything. You can watch last week's, and the rest of this year will be the summary of everything, rolling forward to a mind-blowing conclusion released on January 6th, 2026.
That's on the Yeshuans channel, not the Heart of the Matter channel. Okay, we love you all. Hayden says best perspective in my opinion. Thank you so much, Hayden.
Thanks, Hayden.
Good luck. Maybe I'll catch you again. Yes. Tune in anytime. We love ya.
Love you guys.
We'll see you all later.